Hello everyone, welcome back to Almighty Blues FC, a fan channel for all to see. Well, a lot of things have happened over the last couple of months, right? 7 game weeks in the EPL, 2 match days in the Champions League, and of course, a couple of cup games as well. So we thought this is the best time, the international break, as I'm sure many of you all are getting bored after all, and would like to see what really happened, these last couple of months. So we are here to review the entire couple of months and analyze as to what were the top moments, what were not, basically the best picks, and we would stick to the top four, and that's why we are back. And it certainly helps, right? Because Chelsea are on top of the table, and it is maybe a coincidence, but yes, that's great. And this is the time that we thought we'll probably discuss with you all. But before that, let's smash that like button as well as three more buttons. Yes, that's subscribe, bell, as well as share, because the more you share, more subscribers we get, we will definitely get encouraged to bring more content to you all. I'm sure you all are loving it, and I'm 100% sure you'll not be disappointed as well. So please subscribe, the bell icon for notifications, as well as share the stream. And for this big stream that we have today, we have a great panel, of course. And first of all, I have to welcome Bobby, fellow Chelsea fan. Bobby, welcome to the stream. How are you? Long time coming.
I'm good, Ankit. Thanks for having me on, and I'm looking forward to this one.
Same here, Bobby. So, Bobby, I know that we are on top of the table, but the fact that we've played, I think, many top sides already, and I think a fixture list in the coming days is also looking easy on paper comparatively. So, would you say we will be able to maintain a top spot?
Well, that's a difficult question. This is the first time in a long time that we're actually in to the reckoning. I think this is the first season I can say that okay, Chelsea's really in the reckoning. There are three other sides that I believe are in the reckoning. People are trying to discount Man United. I think they're still very much there. Man City and of course Liverpool. Can we stay on top? Um, it's possible. It's very possible. There are other distractions for us coming up in December, like the World Club Cup, and I think that's where we will have to play games in hand, which is not always an advantage because when you see that you have to win games to catch teams, it gives you added pressure. But we're very capable of being on top. I think for Chelsea this season, everything's down to them. It's more about what we do than anything else, in my opinion.
Yes, as in great points, that definitely, and we'll discuss that, how we can kind of maintain that or try to maintain that in detail. And before we do that, definitely, I have to welcome the second guest, that is Husam, that is the Don Husam from This Is Football. Husam, brother, welcome to the channel. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
No, no, my pleasure, definitely. And again, Hussam and myself have been trying to kind of get a fixed time, and great that he's here now. I know Hussam covers a lot of content on his channel, daily content. You can find great content. I love the content for sure. The links are all there in the description. But I know at the end of the day, Hussam is a Liverpool fan, so he is kind of representing Liverpool today. So Hussam, I have to be honest, right? I mean, I was one of them. I think I even commented when you were live on one of the streams on your channel that Liverpool have kind of surprised me. I know that they always had in the first 11 that they had, but just the aura, the atmosphere that is there around Liverpool, is a surprise. I'm sure it's pleasant for you, not for me as a Chelsea fan, but yes. Uh, did you really predict, as in realistically predict Liverpool to kind of be there fighting for the title? What was your prediction? Just curious to know.
Yes, I did predict it. I said Liverpool and Chelsea are gonna go for the title. I didn't believe City and United would be in it. That was my initial prediction. I think with Chelsea signing Lukaku, they solved their goal scoring problem, which was their problem last season. So when you solve your problems, that's what happens. With Liverpool, I thought obviously with Van Dijk coming back and the injured players coming back, we had one more season in us. I think now looking at it, it's probably a 3-horse race. I discount Man United because of the manager situation there. I don't think they're in it. But when it comes to Liverpool, this has not shocked me at all. Throughout like the summer, I've said we will be one of the contenders for the title. So this isn't shocking at all. The only thing that's upsetting me right now is the draw against Brentford. And the thing is with the draw against Chelsea and the draw against City, all 3 games we should have won. So that's something that's annoying me still to the second, because like I don't want to be too greedy and say we need to have 7 wins to start the season. But all 3 games we could have won, but it's just lapse of concentration and stuff. But yeah, this is where I expect us to be. I think we'll fall off maybe near April, May, because of the squad, or like maybe February-ish, March. That's when probably we'll fall off. But for now, we will be in it. We'll be in it.
Interesting thoughts. Yeah, we will definitely discuss in detail as to how Liverpool can kind of continue that course. In course of time, definitely things may change, but for now, it doesn't look great, right? But meanwhile, definitely, last but not the least, we have to welcome Rich. That's Richard from Rich Sports. Rich, how are you, buddy? Welcome to the stream. And this is the first time that Rich is an Almighty Blues FC, great supporter of the channel. I love his channel as well. How are you, buddy?
No, I'm really good. It's good to actually finally get on here, because obviously said that the time zone doesn't help us, doesn't do us any favors. But no, really good. Obviously, I've checked out your channel in the past when I can, and I know you've been in the comments on mine. So yeah, I said tonight it's really good to actually get to speak to you.
Absolutely. And I know, like, again, Rich Sports, another channel, great channel, links is in the description. And I know Rich Sports covers a lot of content, but at the end of the day, like you see, Rich is, unfortunately a Manchester United fan. But Rich, definitely, I have to, give you a thumbs up here, because being a Manchester United fan this season, like, there have been heart attacks for you already. Like, do you see this sustaining? How are the heart attacks? Like, I hope you're all fine with that, right?
Yeah, no, I know, like Sam said well, that I think teams have addressed the weaknesses. Manchester United signed some very good players, but they didn't really address the core weakness of the CDM position. So for Manchester United fans, mathematically we're still there, but it does look like potentially over the course of a season, squad depth, I think I kind of agree with what Husam was saying, that you'd say that first 11 quite equal between all 4 teams, I would say. But a few injuries. I think Manchester United and Liverpool suffer more from that. I think Chelsea, you've got to say, over the last couple of seasons, they've really built up a squad to match City. And I've been quite impressed with each team at different points in the season, in different games. And also, I'd say every team in 1 or 2 games has also shown they're quite vulnerable. I think City were quite impressive, for instance, against Chelsea, but then Chelsea were impressive 10 men against Liverpool. Manchester United have been not looking good, but they're maybe getting more points than you'd expect from the performances, which is not good, but it could be worse. Our league position could be worse. The fact that we haven't played well in most of the games, I would say Leeds, we played well. I would say Newcastle, we played well for half the game. And despite that, we're still only like a couple of points back. So for a Manchester United fan, there is hope because of that. And also David De Gea is back to kind of playing quite well. So there's positives, but also there's like a few negatives.
Definitely. And then again, we'll get into it in detail for sure. Again, guys watching, we are definitely going to be discussing a lot. So before we continue, smash that like button and subscribe, and look at the description, because all the guests, links are there. Do give them a follow as well. And I know at the end of the day, like you are, like even I'm a fan. I think Bobby would get that, like being a Chelsea fan. I know Almighty Blues FC is a channel for everyone to see, but it is definitely blue to begin with. So let's get into it. What do you say? We'll get into the first section. Okay. so what I'm going to do is first I'm going to share my screen. Bobby, I'll throw the first question at you because, of course, it has been a mixed time for Chelsea. I mean, more good and obviously top of the table, can't complain at all. But let me try and share my screen because I'll just show you the results, what has kind of happened in the last 7 game weeks. So obviously Chelsea recently got a great win at versus Southampton. Man City, like we saw in the clip, was a blip, and Spurs, wow, what a performance! Aston Villa, perfect, as in that was one of the perfect performances in terms of the second half for me. Liverpool Chelsea, great game of football, as in can't complain much either. And Arsenal Chelsea, always great to beat them, as well as Crystal Palace, the London rivals, right? But I'll stop sharing this, Bobby, and uh, Bobby, I know that we were and we are champions of Europe, and we won the Super Cup as well. So that probably, as in a lot of pundits in the media told initially when the season started, that we are favorites. I know among others as well to win the title this year. But now that you've seen, I think our main striker, like Husam alluded to, like we've signed Lukaku, right? As in him and other clubs also made a few signings, and you've seen a few performances. As in, which is that performance, Bobby, which tells you that hey, this Chelsea team is there to be, definitely be crowned champions, possibly, right? And there's some performance in these 7 game weeks which stands out for you.
You know, this, there's only been 7 games. And in the past, I mean, I've been watching football long enough to know that once upon a time, that would have really almost been enough to give you a gauge as to what was going to happen for the rest of the season. But top class footballers now are being flogged so hard that in the beginning of any season, it takes any top team a while, I will say till about maybe even the end of November, to really start getting into gear, depending on the amount of injuries they have in their squads around that time. And Chelsea's no different. I mean, a lot of these guys haven't really had a break. The Euros made sure of that. They went away for about 2 weeks, came to a sort of hurried preseason, and then they're back, hitting the ground running again. And I think a lot of them are feeling that. Man United a little bit, Chelsea definitely. Man City, I don't know, maybe a bit, maybe not, because they've had injuries which prevented some players from being too active in the Euros. And certainly with Liverpool, that was the case. But all the same, these players are flogged pretty hard because they're the best. They play for club and country non-stop, and it reflects it, especially in the start of the season. What have we done that makes me believe that we are in with a chance this season? Well, yes, we've addressed the so-called weakness of last season, which was a striking situation, and even then we're rather thin because if our sole striker, goes off for any period of time, we are without a striker. But what gives me comfort is that, look, we've been there before. Yes, it was a problem last season, but we know how to play without a top striker. And also, the other aspects of the team are now getting used to Tuchel because this is his first full season. So there are things he's introducing, players he's using that he hasn't used before, and he's beginning to use the depth of the squad. And when you look back to the season to date, we're sat on top, and that tells you everything. That should give us hope.
Yes, great answer that Bobby. Definitely, Bobby playing it a little bit safe, but yeah, then it's his experience talking as well. Like for sure, and then we really need to look at the long term and something that we probably relook maybe come December, right? As in, that kind of tells me like for me, like personally, if you ask me, it was definitely that performance against Liverpool with 10 men, which kind of was telling me that hey, this Chelsea side has character not just in the cups but in the league as well. Obviously, we need to do it over the course of time, like Bobby said. But Hussam, I'll come to you because as a Liverpool fan, right? As in you obviously watched that game very closely, and we did review in detail as well already in the channel. But for you, looking at that game or just generally, Chelsea's season generally, like for you, what is that one attribute that you think that Chelsea has that maybe other teams maybe Liverpool, maybe others kind of don't have. And one attribute that maybe you feel that Chelsea are not really convincing in. So what is your thought there?
I've said, like I said, I have said Chelsea are favourites for the title, and I stand by it. 7 games into the season, nothing has happened to change my mind yet. The one reason I hate the argument that if player X and player Y get injured, they're in trouble, that applies to every team in the league. That literally applies to every team on earth, I could argue. Because if Lukaku and Mendy get injured, that's season over for Chelsea, because it's Kepa and Werner, and we have seen that movie before. So look, if you have your 2-3 important players out, then you can't really say, like, it's like it affects all football clubs. It affects all football clubs. So I think so far so good. Defensively very structured. The midfield, Mateo Kovacic, extremely underrated player. I really like him as a footballer. When it comes to your front options, I think the only weakness right now Chelsea has is the 2 players behind Lukaku. Sometimes not supplying Lukaku enough, not helping him enough. Sometimes not getting on the end of things. Link-up play is slower and stuff. So all of these things come into play. But look, here's at the end of the day, the one disadvantage Chelsea suffer from is the other 2 teams in the league title race, which is Liverpool and City, have both proven that they could win 16, 17 games in a row. Chelsea have not done that yet. We can easily see, like, I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever if City win every game from October till February. I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever. They've done it before, and they could win 18, 19 in a row. We've shown we could win 18, 19 in a row. Chelsea, now to be entered into that upper echelon of competitiveness, need to do that as well. Could need to do that as well this season. So that's the thing. However, I still remain like with my opinion that I said on the summer. I really think Chelsea are favourites for the league this season.
Okay, as in that's certainly impressive, and again, respect to Sam to actually point it out specifically, as in that's something of great note. But coming to you, Rich, because I think Rich, again, we have kind of chatted a lot offline, but for you, as in looking at Chelsea, I know obvious answer may have been Lukaku, but like maybe Husam said about Kovacic, which is that one player that has really impressed you, which has you have been taken aback by one Chelsea player, and maybe some player who's also underwhelmed at the same time?
Yeah, it's difficult to pick out one player. I think what impresses me most about Chelsea, honestly, is like just when you look through the results, the number of clean sheets. Because I'm looking at my team, we can't keep a clean sheet no matter who we play. So I think just it's maybe the impressive thing is the defensive organisation, because when we saw City go on a run last season and they won lots of games, it's 1-0, 1-0. They didn't create loads of chances. They didn't have to win 3 or 4-0. And it is about having that solidity at the back where we can't really win games 1-0. We keep drawing 1-1 with teams we should be beating, and we give them very, very good chances to even maybe beat us, like we saw in our last game. So for me, annoyingly for a rival fan, it's just looking at teams actually scoring against Arsenal, against Chelsea, because you beat Arsenal 2-0, you beat Spurs 3-0, you drew 1-1 with Liverpool, but that was with 10 men, which is impressive. So it's just the only question mark really is, I think, like Timo Werner, is he going to contribute enough goals? Like Lukaku, are you reliant on Lukaku to score? Because I think the argument was whether you can convert draws into wins if teams do score against you and you have closer games. I think Lukaku definitely... Manchester United fans are divided on Lukaku, and the argument was always that he'd scored plenty against the small teams, which ironically seem to be the teams we now can't beat. But Lukaku did a great job against those guys. So I think, honestly, Lukaku is a great player to have. And the argument seems crazy when you look at the international goals he's got, the goals he's got in every single team he's played at. He's going to get you plenty of goals. It's whether or not there's other people in the team that are going to help him with that. Because obviously your penalty taker was your top goal scorer last season, which is kind of a strange situation. So it's maybe maybe it's extra striking options backing up Lukaku could be a potential weakness, but it's nitpicking because you look a very solid team at the moment. And also look at the games you played. You've already played the challengers, haven't you? You've already played Manchester City. You've already played Liverpool. You've comfortably beaten teams that would be a bit below them, like Spurs. So yeah, it's difficult to find fault, really. annoyingly.
Again, it's kind of a mixed time for me because again, it was a fantastic start. I would say, even though we were not in gear 4, we were still in gear 2. I would say, but still we got great results and specific half performances. So Bobby, I'll come to you because we have to obviously look at the other side of the coin because we are kind of going to the next phase of games. So especially those two games against City at home and Juventus away, there was, as in as a Chelsea fan also, I have to say, like, there was something missing. As in, I know that we missed midfield primarily because they were unfit, most of them, and we didn't have Reece James fit either, like I think for about a game and a half. So but apart from that, like Bobby, for us to kind of make that statement and kind of dominate.
Oh dear, we've lost
Oops.
Ankit.
I think this is where the power cut thing he told us about. So Bobby, go on.
Yes. I'm not. I didn't quite, get where he was heading to, but I think he wanted to sort of talk about the parts of the season where it didn't go so well for Chelsea, and I would suspect allude to the other rival clubs for the Premier League title. I think, look, the game against Man City, I don't really take too seriously. I mean, you've mentioned yourself that when you're without key players in your team, I don't care who you are, you're going to feel it. N'Golo Kante played that game. Little did we know he actually had COVID. We were without Mason Mount, who is very important for us in front. Without Pulisic, Reece James came off with an ankle injury. We had a fatigued Jorginho with a slight niggle. Kovacic wasn't himself. I mean, the whole team right the way through had issues. Plus, we were playing a highly motivated, fully fit Man City, who were determined not to lose a fourth game in a row against Chelsea. And people say there's no such thing as revenge in football. Of course there is. They were hurt by losing the Champions League final, and they certainly weren't going to lose another game. So they came all out, all guns blazing, and good luck to them. They played well that day and beat us. And funnily enough, upon all their pressure, they could only score a deflected goal. And their attempts at goal were not as much as it would seem. So I would take that one on the chin as a Chelsea fan. These things happen in football. Juventus that followed that, I think they played well. Allegri does what he does. Juve do what they do. Counter-attacking football, the likes of Bonucci and Chiellini when he did come on in the end. Low block, good defense, well-organized defense. And they did better than us on the day and got away with a 1-0 as well. Listen, you're not going to have a perfect season. You're going to go through blips. You're going to have times where the team isn't quite firing on all cylinders. And I think when those times come, that's when you build your character. The earlier in the season you get that out of the way, the stronger you will finish if you learn from it. Teams like Man City are they're no shrinking violets. They are the English champions. They are the team to beat, certainly in the Premier League. And that's what we're all gunning for. We've got Liverpool come back fully fit now. And we saw from the game between Liverpool and Man City how much of a threat those two teams are going to be going forward. And the guys have made a very interesting point in that who was it that said that Lukaku scored against the somewhat lesser teams, if you can say they're lesser teams?
That's what's been said by quite a few people. That's people that don't rate, which is it's not a criticism, is it? It's useful to get someone that can
do that. It's the lesser
teams.
It's the lesser teams that give you the Premier League. If you don't, it's not the victories against the top four that make you win it. It's not dropping points against the lower teams that make you win it. So there is a lot of merit to that. Look, this is going to be a very interesting season. I'm not panicked. I think we went through the blip at the right time. Will there be rockier roads ahead? Of course there will. So 38 game season. If Chelsea have a successful season, they'll be playing upwards of 60, 65 games this season. So it's not going to be a walk in the park. So we just wait and see. I'll just say, hold on to your hats, fasten your seatbelts, because it's going to be some ride.
For sure, for sure. But yes, thanks for answering that, Bobby. Husam, I'll come to you because I think, no secrets there. Again, Husam, very active on Twitter. I've seen all your, views regarding Trent Alexander-Arnold. Again, some of the points are perfectly fair. Like, I'm a fan of the guy as well, but without comparing him, right? As in just now talking about Chelsea, right? As in Reece James, like that's one person that is always compared with. But apart from that, Christensen as well as Chaloba, like these are two people apart from Reece James who've kind of really risen up to the occasion, and they're probably seamlessly, substituting the main players, and that's something that as an opposition fan you see as a threat. Do you see these three players kind of being or having that in them to kind of reach to the top level?
Yeah, I really do, and I said, look, obviously when it comes to Reece James, he's probably, I know you asked him to not compare, but I'm gonna say it anyway. He's probably the second best right back in the league right now. I think he's overtaken Walker and the rest of them. I think he's proven himself at the top level. So I really like Reece James. I'd put him top 3 youngsters in the league as well, just below Foden and Saka, in my opinion. So I think when it comes to Reece James, very impressive. Shallow, but extremely impressive. I watched him against Palace as well. He defends well. The impressive part about him is he could probably play as one of the sixers and can play as a centre back, which is as well, like, versatility at a very young age is good. Christensen, like, I'll never be convinced fully by him, because I've seen him, like, we've seen this Christensen before. Like he is somewhat inconsistent, where he'll perform well for like 4 or 5 games, then just drop off for 2, then perform well. But ever since, I'd say that sending off against Liverpool at home, he's actually been consistent. So we have to give props where it's due. I think, look, Chelsea have an incredible squad. The only problem you have is the forward line. So once again, the 2 players behind Lukaku, like we saw, the problem in the system is not Lukaku. The problem is how to get the ball to Lukaku, how to supply him. So the issue is with the 2 players behind Lukaku, because Havertz have dropped off. I've gone on record and I've said he's a future Ballon d'Or winner. I've said it, so I have no problem with saying that whatsoever. But he's dropped off this season. Mount has dropped off as well. Werner, I prefer to not speak. I know he played well against the last game you had against Southampton at home. He did play well, but that's just like a rare occasion, if I'm being completely honest. So when it comes to Chelsea team and the youngsters you have, the youngsters have all performed well, extremely well. And I think as well, the one guy that probably a lot of people have forgotten about is Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who as well played a very good game against Southampton. So, Chelsea, unfortunately, as Rich says, are looking good right now, unfortunately for all of us.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll put in one more name there. Rich, I'll come to you because I think, you made that comment, Rich, so I have to come to you because Callum Hudson-Odoi, right? And that's one more youngster who's kind of, I would say, almost like kind of goes sulky. I know not in terms of, the way he looks, but it's just that it's obvious from his performance when he plays right wing back versus when he plays up front, right? Last game against Southampton, he was actually part of the front 3, and we could see the difference in Callum Hudson-Odoi. I know that's a natural position and all that, but at the end of the day, it is what you do on the pitch as well, as it shows. So, as in for you, Rich, as in again, I know Man United over the years have played with a lot of wing backs. So, do you see Callum Hudson-Odoi being that attacking wing back, especially since we play like a Kante and Jorginho in midfield a lot of times, right? Or would you prefer, like, say, seeing as a neutral again, seeing Reece James and maybe Loftus-Cheek, like Husam said, like he's a great option in midfield?
No, it's crazy, isn't it? Like I said, you've almost got so many options now. It's a bit worrying. So you can play, and obviously, you've got to say a lot of credit to Tuchel of how he's turned things around after Lampard left. So I think the fact that he's excelling in that position, but also you've got other options, is worrying, because for Manchester United, you've got to say that sometimes we're more one-dimensional and we struggle to change things during a match. So I think it's a massive positive for your team that you do have these different options available to you. And I would say that outside of Man City, you've really built a squad to give you these different options in different matches, different combinations you can use. So I think with Tuchel, you do have the squad to compete across several different tournaments. I think with us, we're kind of wondering whether the Champions League plus Premier League is quite a tough ask, I think, for most teams to try and really go far in the tournament. Like as Bobby said, you could be playing a huge amount of games, little recovery. We did see that we played 2 games recently and we had to change the team a lot. And it was it was working okay at some, but I think it's more a struggle for some teams than others. So I think the fact that Chelsea could possibly change 5-6 players and you wouldn't notice the difference in quality, and you could play, like you said, different positions, is a concern for Manchester United fans.
Absolutely, I hope every player kind of understands that as well, because squad management is a thing, and Tuchel is brilliant at that compared to what we had in the past, and that's something I think a jewel that we've got Tuchel, right? But Bobby, I'll let you end the Chelsea section first, because for you, I think again we've scored a few brilliant goals. I know we just voted for the goal of the month for the month of September, but for you, Bobby, which was that one goal that really stands out for Chelsea in these 7 weeks?
Oh, for me, I will have to go for Timo Werner's goal on was it Saturday? Last Saturday, against Southampton. It's not that there was anything spectacular about the goal.
Yeah.
It's just Timo, his endeavor, his barefaced honesty on the pitch, and his perseverance is what Chelsea fans adore in him. Timo will miss an absolute sitter that would have anybody else completely crucified. But when you look at how hard that guy tries, you can't help but just get behind him. And after he was, in my opinion, wrongly, when he wrongly had his first goal chalked off, taking VAR as far as the 18th century to be able to chalk that goal off. The way he came back, he never lost his stride. He kept on and on and on, and eventually got his reward. For me, it was what that goal meant. I mean, there's so many this season, funnily enough. Talking about that, the first goal, Chalobah's goal. For
Exactly.
Chelsea
I was thinking you'll probably go for Chalobah. But then again, people watching, definitely comment which is your favorite goal. Again, as a Chelsea fan, and we'll get to other clubs as well. And yes, thanks for sharing that, Bobby. But I get that Timo Werner's point, for sure. As in, fans are behind him for a reason, especially the people who kind of watch the games, look at his runs, and that's fantastic. And it rubs off on the others, right? Same with Mason Mount. These are two people who kind of run. Run. That's all. But I think to finish that Chelsea section quickly, I think Thomas Tuchel, from the time he's taken now, I think he's accumulated the most points compared to any other manager in the Premier League at home. So maybe we are making Stamford Bridge our fortress. What we used to do under Mourinho, and that's something that we need to really continue as a side. But as in a lot of discussion there. And that kind of takes us to next section, guys. So we'll just enter the next section. Okay, so let me share my screen. We'll probably start with Liverpool here because Husam is in the house as well. So I'll just share my screen to show the results. And like Husam alluded to earlier as well, Liverpool have had great performances on the pitch, some heavy metal football that they've started playing again. And at the end of the day, I think Liverpool, if I'm not wrong, is just a point behind Chelsea. And but they have drawn 3 games. Liverpool City, I know it was a great game and a tough one at that, but and in a way, lucky that Liverpool did not get that red card. I have to say that. But yes, Brentford, Liverpool was one, of course, the Chelsea one, right, where Liverpool had a man's advantage, but they couldn't kind of make use of that. So, Husam, like just based on these kind of results, especially the draws, right? Would you say, because each of the draws you conceded, so is it something that the defense is lacking? Like, would you put a point on the defense, or is just the entire team altogether, the mentality?
First of all, it was not a red card because the foul was on Henderson, not on Milner. That's something I noticed when I watched the replay. The referee actually gave the foul on Henderson. Milner was the guy with the second yellow. So you don't get booked for the second foul, you get booked for the initial foul. So obviously Henderson committed that foul. When it comes to the defense, it's not really the defense that's a problem. It's the midfield, the lack of control in midfield, the ability to obviously see out games that we had when we were champions. We don't have it now, unfortunately. So we're gonna have to fight to get that back. But I think, look, the 3 results besides obviously the 4 wins, we have 4 wins and 3 draws, still unbeaten, the only team unbeaten. But anyway, when it comes to the 3 draws, I think the draw against Brentford is probably the most disappointing one, definitely most disappointing one. But throughout the season, if City go there, if Chelsea go there, etc., and have disappointing results, then that obviously just shows the quality of Brentford. But the draw against, for me, the draw against City was disappointing. The draw against Chelsea was disappointing. But all in all, look, when you draw against City and Chelsea, it's not really the end of the world, because like no matter whether it's away or at home, a draw against them is fine, home or away. I always want us to win at Anfield, but I think, look, away from home, it's probably like I take a draw right now at Stamford Bridge and at the Etihad, but at Anfield I'll always go for them, and those are the only 2 stadiums in the league. I wouldn't, I wouldn't mind the draw. The other 17 stadiums I want to win in. So when it comes to obviously the title challenge, I maintain what I said. It's a 3-way horse race right now, and whichever horse falls first, we will see. It could be Liverpool because of the squad. It could be City because they don't have a striker. It could be Chelsea because of the attacking options besides Lukaku. There's plenty of things to tell, but this could be a mad title race between all 3 teams, and Liverpool are definitely in it. Definitely in it.
Yeah, for sure. And just to kind of put it in, like I know you just signed Konate, I think, over the summer, but I think even he looks good. Like to me, I know he can probably seamlessly replace Matip, right? I mean, that's something that you have. I think Joe Gomez was great, but he's coming back from injury, kind of helped that Konate is here. So I think I can see there, and it's probably a blip that they had, the goals that were conceded. And Van Dijk, I have to say, kind of looks Rolls Royce again. Unfortunately, as a Chelsea fan, but yeah, I'm great for you. But Rich, I know, like again talking about Liverpool, Harvey Elliott unfortunately had that big injury. Hopefully, he comes back soon. But Rich, like again talking about the squad of Liverpool and of course the other squads that we've done, right? But Curtis Jones is one more, like who's really stepped up for Liverpool. But I think African Cup of Nations is there. I know it's just, I think, over a couple of weeks, possibly, that some Liverpool attackers will certainly miss the main ones at that. But overall, do you see that will probably be the difference of Liverpool, and they may not be able to continue this heavy metal football? Like, what is your opinion as an opposition?
Yeah, it could be. It could be a factor. You wouldn't want it to be a factor and be a deciding thing, but I've been impressed with what I've seen from Liverpool recently. I think actually Brentford, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when other teams play them, because I don't think they're a surprise package, because I think from the start of the season you could tell when I've spoken to people that people are expecting big things from them. I think Mo Salah is playing as well as I've ever seen him play. He was fantastic on the weekend, and I think they've got the kind of the structure back, haven't they, with Van Dijk? They look. What I would say the difference is we've got very good individuals. Liverpool and Man City may be the 2 most complete teams at the moment in the way they're organised as a team. We've kind of got the personnel there, but we're kind of not as a team at the moment, which is a bit frustrating. But yeah, I think that's like Sam said, hit the nail on the head. The fact it could be whether you avoid injuries over the course of the season, as boring as it sounds, that I think a couple of key people from either team, more so perhaps Manchester United and Liverpool, a couple of key people out, and we're quite vulnerable in a few positions, but I think Liverpool as well. You take Van Dijk out, you take Salah out, you take and I don't think they're the same team.
Yeah. Makes sense. Certainly, and great points there is. But yes, you briefly spoke about Mo Salah there. So Bobby, I have to come to you again. Mo Salah is the next Chelsea player. A lot of people forget that, but Bobby, I know like circumstances were very different. I think he was kind of very raw at the time, and maybe we had too many players just like what we have today, and that's why we kind of let him go alone, and then he proved himself. So kudos to him, but. Now that you've seen, I think 4.5 years that Mo Salah has played at this level consistently, but the first couple of seasons that he played for Liverpool, Bobby, did you guess that this guy will be that lethal finisher of a consistent level?
Yeah, Mo is certainly the one that got away, isn't it? I mean, we beat ourselves up a lot about losing him, but it was almost inevitable because the competition. Yeah. He had to overcome, the likes of Drogba and even people like Anelka. He had no chance at that time in his career. He was a young kid and he was raw, as you said. Did I ever envisage him doing what he's doing now? I don't know. I'm not surprised because even as a kid, when he was in Basel, he showed flashes. When he was at Chelsea, he showed flashes. So all he's done is just blossomed and fulfilled his potential. Klopp's Liverpool are an interesting prospect to me. I always watch them and wait for the wheels to fall off. When they won the league and they won the Champions League eventually, I was always waiting for them to stumble, but they never did. They did the following season, but that was due to injury. And I think Liverpool is not a side full of extraordinary talents. No, they have very good players, but I wouldn't say they are exceptional players. But what they do have is an exceptional manager. And that's a very strong asset. He organizes them well. When he puts them together and they're all fit, they're as good as anybody. And probably many a time even better. So I think the key to Liverpool will be their fitness and certainly the availability of the manager they have.
Yes, and it's no surprise that Klopp is one of the few managers who has a great record against Tuchel, right? As in that kind of tells itself because we praise Tuchel a lot, as in everyone does, right? But Klopp is definitely, I think, right up there. As in I was going to say that Klopp deserves a lot of plaudits, especially for Mo Salah, because I think him kind of getting the confidence that he did, as in I think Klopp needs to take a lot of credit, and of course a little credit to Chelsea, because if Chelsea wouldn't have let him go, you never know if really this would have happened. But yeah, that's how it goes sometimes, right? But again, talking about Liverpool, because I think that's the section we are in. But Husam, I know it's obvious that Salah has been your player of the season until now, at least. As in no questions there, but and even the goal, right? As in the goal that he scored against City, I think, wow, he reminded. I know a lot of comparisons between him and Hazard, unfairly so, but he kind of reminded, because that's what kind of Hazard did on his own a lot of times. So, any particular moment that you thought probably was your favorite moment of the season for Liverpool?
I just think, obviously, with all the games that have happened so far, there have been two special goals, I would say. The Naby Keita goal against Crystal Palace on the volley, right off where he did the celebration as well. So that one was a brilliant moment. But it just has to be the second goal against Man City, where the man just created an entire goal on his own, sent 3 players just back to their countries, like they had no hope of winning that, and then just finished it with his right foot. And I think Mohamed Salah now is entering conversations that when he signed 4 or 5 years ago, no one would have dreamt of, which is, some people are now including him in the Henry Ronaldo debate for the best ever Premier League player, because that's the level he's at. So listen, when it comes to Mo Salah, consistent output, brilliant on the ball, and everything he does as well. Our most creative forward, as well as our most lethal one. I think that that explains a lot when it comes to Mo Salah, and definitely the best player in the Premier League right now, this second.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I have to agree there. Ex-Chelsea player Mo Salah, but definitely Liverpool. I think he's probably close to being a Liverpool legend, if not, he's already there, right? As in that's
He's
how.
already there. He's
Uh,
already.
of course, like and again, people in the comment section, I think Husam makes a great point about him being there in that all-time legends, not just for Liverpool, but in Premier League. Like, would you call Salah already there? Like for me. Again, I have to agree there with Husam because yes, I think longevity kind of counts, but if you kind of break records and do this consistently for even 4.5 years, I think he's probably reaching or as in surpassing Ronaldo levels, because Ronaldo wasn't there, I think, for a very very long time in the Premier League, but we all know what he did, right? That's something that I have to agree. Unfortunately, Almighty Blues FC, but Hussam, I give you that one. But moving to Manchester United, Rich. Again, like I'll share the screen because I know you would like to see the results that have happened.
I'm well aware of these results.
No, but let's be fair, right? I mean, obviously, there is a transition period which always has been for Manchester United, no pun intended. But I think that Everton game, okay, Everton is Rafa Benitez side, you can still accept it. Aston Villa with a great side, but Wolves game, right? As in for me, as in the Wolves game, you didn't deserve to win. As in that was almost lucky, I would say. And Southampton even like that was debatable, the goal that he got, right, in terms of the foul, etc. If you remember, but yes, you've been great in patches. I have to give Man United that. In patches, they've been fantastic as well. And that's the thing about Man United, right? As now that you've seen 7 weeks, Rich, would you really see that Ole is trying to bring a culture in football? Is there a Man United way coming up now?
That's difficult, isn't it? Looking at those results, like I said, I don't know how we beat Wolves. I think we give Wolves 50 chances on that day, and they don't score. They just couldn't do anything. And also, potentially, you're looking at David De Gea saving us points in these games against a double save against Wolves and saves in Europe, keeping us in the game when we're not playing well. So that's a positive. I think we know what we're getting from Ronaldo in terms of like he's going to be giving us goals. I think with Sancho, it's way too early to really gauge too much. He does look like a good player. I think you need to give him a bit more time. But I think with Varane, the disappointing thing is you look at that. How many clean sheets have we got? It's just hardly any. We kept Wolves out, but we gave Wolves plenty of chances. It's every single game that we're struggling really to stop teams. And what's frustrating is it's the same sort of way. We're attacking a corner. We have an attacking corner. Just a couple of passes against Newcastle, against Everton. Our defense is just running in all. It's just in disarray. I think it's a lack of organisation, which I was praising your team for. I'm not seeing it, sadly, in my team. So I think the thing is we're still in there, results-wise, but performance-wise we're not, which is frustrating because at the moment, what's going to be interesting is we've got a difficult month. We're going to be playing. I think we're playing Manchester City and we've got Leicester next and Tottenham. Do we play Liverpool as well in this month as well? And got the Champions League games. We're going to know a lot more by November. And I think a lot of fans are a bit concerned when we play those two teams of what's going to happen. But we know in the past seasons, we have had decent records against Man City. So you never know. But I think fans are concerned that performances aren't really matching the results. You look at on paper, you look at some decent wins. Whereas I think West Ham was quite a tight one, wasn't it? That Lingard, how many times does he put that in the top corner? Maybe one in like 6 or 7, if I'm being kind. And then a penalty save, David De Gea does one of those every 4 years. So hopefully it's going to improve, but I think it's more optimistic at the moment. There's no obvious signs of it improving at the moment.
Well, interesting, but yeah, as in talking about Ole again, right? Bobby, I think you've seen a lot of Man United as in play over the years, and of course, like at Chelsea, it's a total different kind of mechanism we have in terms of running the club, right? But if Ole was at Chelsea, definitely he would have got the sack, and even Watford, right? Watford, we saw that they are so kind of lethal in terms of managers, but. Even after those cup results, Bobby, like they had, I know that comeback win against Villarreal, which was kind of again, it was just something that they got in lucky in a way. But for me, that cup result against young boys, and of course against West Ham, like Rich mentioned, like, are you still surprised that I think today on Sky Sports, Man United actually went and put a statement saying that we are backing Oli? Like, are you really surprised by seeing this string of results?
Yeah, I mean, most boards back their manager publicly before they fire them. So, Man United are a strange, are a strange bag right now. I think the longevity of Alex Ferguson harmed that club in the long run rather than helped that club. They seem to be swimming in treacle in terms of the managers, because that's the weakness. They have this thing, there's this thing that comes a lot from media punditry. Give him time. You don't need to give a manager time, not in top flight football. The Spaniards taught us that, the Italians taught us that. But for some reason in England, because of Wenger and Fergie, we think every manager needs time. No, he doesn't. If he knows what he's doing, he takes the investment and he turns it around. Those days of giving a manager 10 years to be able to win you one match, I exaggerate, but you know what I mean, they're over. Now, I don't know. As a Chelsea fan, I'm happy they're in the position they're in. A weaker Man United is as stronger everybody else. But, when you think of the players they have in that squad, because United have players in their stands that you don't even see on the bench, that the average team will be drooling over. Donny van der Beek, for example. Matic suddenly pops up every now and then they throw him back somewhere in the doldrums of the benches. Their problem is the manager. He doesn't have the tactical maturity to be able to utilize that team. If you give that team to somebody with nous, they would do a lot more and they'll be a lot more effective, in my opinion. But do I care? Not really. But that's just the reality. That's just how I see it.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, definitely. Like, yeah, I think probably they should also will kind of agree there, because it's all about basically how you kind of utilize that squad as well. Talking about the squad, like, I know they made a few signings, Ronaldo out of all, but Husam, I think they obviously got in Varane. They were kind of having some question marks at the back with Maguire and Lindelof, but Varane came in, and then obviously Sancho was the big money signing. Again, it's easy to say that they haven't kind of performed at the level that you expect, especially Sancho. But would you put it to basically them not having that chemistry or that form yet as maybe one of the reasons as well why Man United don't have that kind of confidence on the pitch, or just the way of playing, right? Because for me, even in defense, they don't look as solid as even last year what they looked like, because when they played us, it was almost like we couldn't score against them.
Yeah, I think, look, when it comes to Man United, you have a summer of Ronaldo, Sancho, and Varane, and yet there are still somehow excuses when you've signed probably one of the three, like one of the top 5 defenders on earth, one of the 2 best players ever. Sancho is a top 5 left winger in Europe. So I think when it comes to the transfer window, if Klopp, Pep, or Tuchel had that team, they win the league 100%, hands down. If Zidane gets announced tomorrow, they win the league as well. So I think when it comes to the Man United situation, we can look at certain individuals and certain players, but when it comes down to it, it's all on the manager for me. I think when the manager changes, it's going to be a change of system. It's going to be because you need someone who can deal with egos, someone who's a proven winner. Oli has built the house now. He's rebuilt this entire thing, but like, obviously he isn't the expert to put the furniture in, to do all the finishing touches to make it an amazing house. He just built the cement and the blocks outside, and it's a house now. But you need like experts now to make it like an actual, like, a winner and stuff. And I think when it comes to Oli, relying on McFred still, no Donny van de Beek. Donny van de Beek, I'd take him at Liverpool, hands down. I would take him. He the thing is with the Donny situation, I don't want to stay long on the topic, but with the Donny situation, the one indication with Donny is He isn't linked to Watford, Norwich, and like all the mid-table teams. He's linked to Inter Milan, to Juventus, to Barcelona. So he's linked to the upper echelon of football clubs, and I think that as well is an indication. When it comes to Oli, however, he always survives the tough patches. So when it comes to these 5-6 games, be sure that Oli is going to survive all of them. And the best part is, obviously, this isn't good news to Rich, but this is good news to Ankit and Bobby. Here's the best part. Today and yesterday, there were rumors that Man United were linked to Gareth Southgate. So even the manager they were going to get if they sack Oli isn't even going to be a Zidane or a Conte or etc. It's going to be Gareth Southgate. So it's happy days.
Yeah,
you can't make this up.
Great stuff. Husam, thanks for sharing that. But Rich, commiserations if you get Gareth Southgate. But,
there's no way a single United fan wants him there. I can guarantee that.
Yeah, but let's talk about some positives. Come on, we can't kind of go, because at the end of the day, Rich, you're just kind of a couple of points away from the top. Like I know it's just 7 weeks and all that, and the performances haven't been consistent. But I think one guy who's kind of stood out in recent games, especially, he looks like regenerated, right? As in, this guy is David De Gea in goal. Like, this guy is like, I think probably his performance at Villarreal, would you say that was probably the performance of the season, or would you say a Bruno or Pogba was of Leeds? Rich, are you there?
Was that to Bobby or to me?
Oh, that's to Rich, actually. Rich, talking about positives for Man United.
I think David De Gea coming back to form. It's like David De Gea from maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where he's kept us in matches, double save. Obviously, a lot of saves against Villarreal, and impressive double save against Wolves as well. And looking good. I think he said pre-season that he was going to working on some of his weaknesses. I think we have seen that to some extent. And other positives, I think the fact the transfer window was positive is good. And Husam has made a good point that the house is almost built. I think that's the issue now, that fans have kind of given him leeway and time, because the transfer window has been quite strange in the past. We've now got a squad that is capable of competing, whereas maybe a year ago you'd look at our squad and say realistically it wasn't close to Manchester City's team, it wasn't close to Chelsea's team. Now it is close. You do look, we've got a quality goalkeeper, top quality central defender, we've got one of the top the highest goal scorer in the world, Ronaldo, and we've got attacking wingers. Rashford's coming back soon, so that's another positive. Pogba's playing quite well. No real injury worries. The issue is getting us to play as a team. Having Fred frantically trying to cover the whole of midfield because no one else is there is a disaster organisationally wise. So there's a lot of negatives in front of defence. That's kind of the area that's just a disaster. I don't know why they focused on improving other aspects of the team, which were actually working okay, rather than, because they have improved the team. Sancho does improve the team, but it wasn't getting an elite CDM would have made a massive difference to the squad. But if he doesn't win something this season, I think it's going to be difficult to make an argument for him being there for a lot longer. Because, he's got the tools to do the job now. You can't really complain about. You can moan about a CDM, but I mean, Chelsea and other teams will have issues, won't they? Manchester City don't have a striker, but they won.
Yeah, you can say that, but again, like, maybe he's just using it as an excuse. Who knows? But again, like, just me as a Chelsea fan, saying that. But yes, a lot of talk there about all the three clubs. Of course, we called it a 3-horse race, but we didn't talk much about Man City. So what I've done is I've actually come up with a top 4-11 from the game week 7, all the game weeks put together, their performances. That's what I believe, should be the top 11. Again, it's, I know, very debatable this. So I'm going to try and share this. So
I think Salah might be in there though.
Oh yeah. So this is again, I'm hoping that I'm kind of wearing the neutral side, but people watching, do comment. I hope you're able to see this. So again, any views, Bobby? Quickly, I'll go to you. Like, any changes that you could make to this team?
I don't know. I hope it's not my Chelsea hat talking, But is that Pogba you got with who?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Kovacic?
Kovacic. So basically, because Pogba, I think, is the highest number of assists. I think he's had about 7 assists, if I'm not
Is this
wrong.
like the
Yeah.
season so far?
This is the season so far exactly in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, as I said, I hope it's not my Chelsea hat talking, but I would change Pogba for Ruben. Ruben
Interesting.
Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah, he has
Uh,
great 3 performances, but yeah, as in probably his
Everything
level
else
of
I agree
performances
with.
was as in I hear that, but what about you, Husam? I'm sure you would make a change or two, right?
Yes, yes, I would. I would make plenty of changes to this team. First of all, I take off Ederson. I'd put Mendy in. I take off
Okay.
Christensen. I'd put one of the City defenders. I prefer Laporte, but I think Diaz has played well, so I'm put Diaz
Yeah,
in there. So Mendy goes in goal. Diaz goes instead of Christensen. I think Rudiger has been your
fair enough.
standout defender. Pogba. Listen, he's had a good 2-3 games, but after that he's dropped off. Even though I think he's one of the best players Man United have, so I'm gonna take him off. I'm gonna put Fabinho in. I think Fabinho and Kovacic have been both phenomenal this season. Left wing back,
Hmm.
it cannot be Cancelo because Cancelo, after what Salah did to him on the weekend, it simply cannot be him. Just based on last
Come
game
on, that's
alone.
just
But
Salah, right? But that's just Salah. Salah is probably over everyone else. Like, I'll be honest there, right? And Cancelo has been
why
the
didn't you put
standout
in
wing
Alonso
back.
though? Because Alonso has been great this season.
Too
Again, just for
slow.
5 games, but not for the last two, right? And Bobby knows what I'm saying, right? Definitely, because of the recent performances, it's recency bias. You can say that, yeah. But great
Fair
points
enough.
there, Usam. Yeah,
Yeah.
great points there,
I
definitely.
think the front two are spot on. No one can disagree with. I think it's just because to me, look, I've said this. I'm not a Chelsea fan, but I've said when it comes to the Ederson thing, I said Alisson is the best keeper in the league, but now moving to second place instead of Ederson is Mendy, and I think this season he's been absolutely phenomenal. Rudiger as well is getting more respect now, so there's a lot of things there. Pogba, look, the thing is the same thing you said for Alonso probably applies to him. 3-4
Yeah,
great games
fair
at the
enough.
start, but now 4 games later, it's not looking as good. So I see there's definitely an argument for every player you put in there. So nothing in your team is crazy at all. I would say so. It's fair enough.
Great. And I don't know if you guys noticed, obviously, the formation. I've gone with the formation that Chelsea have recently kind of started playing. So I'm assuming Rich, the manager, obviously will not be Oli, but you would pick Tuchel as a manager or Klopp with this formation?
Probably give it to your man at the moment. You are top at the moment.
Just about, yeah. I think fair enough. I think, respect to Rich as well as Husam for sharing their, thoughts there. But fantastic thoughts there, guys. Again, we are kind of coming to the end of the stream, but before that, quick predictions. I know it's 7 weeks only, but Bobby, I'll probably ask you, Bobby. Probably not the winner because I think probably it'll be the Chelsea hat wearing. But what about the best player in the league this year? As in, who's your call? Salah, you think he'll continue that form, or you see someone else coming through?
So far, I mean, you have to give Mo Salah credit. What he did in the last game really sticks out. Ruben Diaz, another one, defender. Rudiger's had an exceptional season. It's for me after 7 games, it's just too hard to say. Man United, I don't think Ronaldo has disappointed, despite his age. I still look at that team and I just laugh because the problem is there for everybody to see but the Man United board. And I'm not even worried if they bring someone like Antonio Conte in because I know he'll just be good for them for a season. The person I'm worried about that they might scout and bring out is gosh, what's his name?
Not Southgate for sure.
No, the French
Ten Hag.
guy.
Oh,
gosh, Real
as in
Madrid.
Ten Hag, as in the Ajax.
Ajax manager,
No, what am I saying? The Real Madrid manager, ex-manager.
Ancelotti.
Zidane.
Oh, Zidane.
Zidane.
Oh, come on.
Zidane.
Oh, no
Now
way.
he's
As in,
someone
I
that
don't
will
think so.
walk into that dressing room and everybody would stand to attention, including Ronaldo, and they will
I think
do
the
what
difference
he
might be a
says.
new manager might bring elite coaches with him and elite backroom staff, which is something we don't have.
Exactly. So that's my concern because that is a team. It's just that their manager doesn't know how to use them. Even the midfield, the problems they're talking about, they don't have problems. It's because he doesn't know how to use the players he's got. But that aside, I mean, you asked the question about the best player for the season so far.
No, as in I'm asking you to predict, as in who's going to be the best player in the season. So again, I'm going to come back to this, as in you're going to clip it.
Overall, oh my God, that is a question. Gosh,
I'll probably throw it to Husam. Husam, as in again, wearing the neutral hat, you think Salah will continue, or you see some bright spark there who probably come back to form and surprise everyone?
Nah, I still think Salah's gonna stay at this level. He's just on a different. I don't know what he's on, but he's just different this season. Like it's just we're talking different things, man. He's actually, remember the season he broke the Premier League records for goals in the season where he scored 34.
Yeah.
He's right now basically based on the first 7 games, he's gonna break his own record of 34 goals in 38 games. So listen. It has to be Salah, but one good news I just wanted to tell you guys, Ankit and Bobby as well with the United thing. Mike Phelan, who is the assistant for Oli, has just signed a contract extension, which basically means Oli's going nowhere, or they're gonna get Southgate. So listen, Man United are not in the discussion. Just rest assured, it's just the three teams. Sorry, Rich, but just
come on, we have kind of given Rich a lot of banter, but Rich, I'll kind of let you have the final word of the stream. As a United fan, right? Let's talk about City. For you, City missing that striker, can they repeat their feat what they did last season? Yes or no?
I think they could. I think they're a team that I would not be surprised if they did. I think they've gone under the radar slightly because of the underwhelming transfer window, and everybody thought they were going to get Kane or get a striker. They didn't do that. But the only thing that might be an issue is whether they really focus on trying to get the Champions League and whether that distracts them, because I think it could be difficult. That obviously Chelsea got that. I think for Chelsea the primary objective has got to be the league and everything. I think for Manchester United, possibly it depends on what happens in the next couple of months, whether we try and win a cup or how we're doing in the league. I think for Liverpool fans would probably prefer the league. I think City might be the only team that if they won the Champions League, City fans would be happy. I think for Chelsea fans, Liverpool fans, Manchester United fans, the primary target is the league, and that could be the only issue if it's tight. I think it is really difficult. I think they're very slight favourites based on experience and the manager and the setup they've got. It's difficult to see a weakness over the season, but it's marginal, but I'd put them slight up. Whether Salah can maintain it over the season, I think I'm looking at Salah and it's reminding me of one of those last seasons at United where you see the drive and determination, and you don't stop that. You don't stop Salah's personal drive. He's going to definitely do it every game, and it makes him a dangerous team. So I think he could be crucial.
Great point. Well, Rich called it there, but people watching do call it as well. Who do you think is going to be the winner? I know we're just 7 game weeks in, but definitely looking a great season. One of these seasons to look forward to, and hopefully this international break gets over fast. But yes, thanks for watching. But before we go, I have to definitely give the platform to the great panel that we've had. First time, Husam. Husam, thanks for coming on. My pleasure. Almighty Blues definitely would like to have you on again. And any last words, feel free to plug in your channel as well.
No, it's been a great show today. Thank you for having me. Big up working with Rich as well. Shout out to Rich and Bobby. Big up for both of you. My channel, as you guys can see, this is football. It's the name right here. The links are in the description. It's a channel for all football fans. Even though I'm representing Liverpool on this channel, the content is not just Liverpool related. It's with all football fans. So if you could head there and subscribe, help us get to 1.6k. That will be I'll be extremely thankful and grateful for you. So big up Ankit and shout out to the other 2 panelists as well.
Definitely. Again, great to have you. And of course, Bobby, always great to have you, Bobby. Great insights. Knows a lot of Chelsea inside out. But Bobby, I hope you are coming on back very soon, because I think the viewers like you as well. And I'm hoping we have a great discussion with us staying on top. Any last words, Bobby?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ankit. It's always a pleasure, and anytime you invite me, I'll always try and be here. Certainly, if I can. Big up to the Husam, sorry, and
Sam and
Rich.
Richard.
But you know what? I spend a lot of my time talking with Chelsea fans, and it's good. We always talk Chelsea, but I thoroughly enjoy talking to other rival fans, especially when they're knowledgeable and they talk a lot of sense, and it's a pleasure, honestly.
Absolutely great again, and of course, Rich Sports. You always see Rich Sports in the comments, but definitely, a great channel. Firstly, so I am a great big fan of Rich Sports, and this is football, so definitely do follow them. But Rich, any last words? Hopefully, Man United,
No,
will have
it's
Oli. I
just
don't
really
know.
nice to be able to speak to you, Ankit, because I'm always in the comments, sort of typing towards you and sort of posting things, and Husam as well, obviously watching your channel and posting things. Thanks for putting the link to my channel in the description. And like Husam, I would say that Manchester United fan, but I will, Premier League content as well, and all fans welcome that. Even when I'm covering Manchester United videos, people from actually yourself, and there's Crystal Palace fans, Newcastle fans that also join and watch. So every opinion's interesting because it's a different perspective on, and sometimes people that support different teams are slightly more honest or have a different perspective on things. And nice to speak to Bobby. I'd not met Bobby before, so nice to meet you, Bobby.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
My pleasure, guys. Great talking
Great.
to you.
Absolutely, and as in it's not just in the description. In fact, this is football, and Rich Sports is two channels which Almighty Blues FC highly recommends, and we have featured these channels also on our channel. So definitely would look forward to a lot more content coming up and collabs. So if you like it, do smash that like and share the stream, because we want to come with a lot more content, and I'm hoping you like the revitalized channel that we've become, and hopefully we'll see a lot more of you. Press that bell notification icon so that we kind of have a lot more live streams as well coming up like before. So till then, take care, peace out, and thanks again.
Thanks.
Peace.